game out of control early, but generally there is a lot of scaling inside of this team composition, and I don't like that Samsung isn't just choosing a team comp to run over their opposition, because they're clearly all better players. For RSG though, I mean, I feel like it's an improved draft from last time, and hopefully they don't start off at such a disadvantage.
Some big comfort picks for Rising Star Gaming might be their ticket to a successful performance here in game number 2. When we get a chance to find out, get out there, let your friends know. Hashtag KeSPA Cup, hashtag SSG win, hashtag RSG win. If you guys are supporting the Challengers representative, let's go ahead and get into game number 2, starting right now. There were cheers for both teams, guys. Lots of fans here in the audience, in attendance, and of course, with teams like the KEG and and SKT coming up later on, it's going to be a good night for League of Legends here. Samsung is starting off with a little bit of an interesting fan. Ambition all the way on the bottom side. Stitch and Wraith now looking once again to put the pressure on Haydn, just like they did in game 1.
Yep, and Ambition gonna recall just to restore his hit points that he just lost.
So it's kind of interesting to see Ambition down there. Do you think that was maybe for like a little bit of a cheese to catch Haydn out in the bush?
Well, you could have maybe brought Lee Sin down early if Haydn was trying to go for some sort of damage cheese against Stitch and Wraith, and then Lee Sin shows up and forces a flash, and it's still early enough where Lee Sin can actually get the recall off. Now again, this is a blue side Lee Sin, and both junglers are likely to be handed off blue, but we could see a Gromp into some sort of red buff aggression come out from Ambition here, because otherwise we're just going to see Gromp wolves into red,
right,
as he makes his way back up to hand off the blue to Crown.
Now, the stats you can see there on your screen are pointing out the improvement of Samsung over the course of time. Last year, they were way down at the bottom of the standings in LCK. When it comes to the other tournaments that they participated in, they finished 7th. They didn't make it to Worlds. They went out in the round of 12 in the KeSPA Cup in dominant fashion. They did not look that good. Since then, this year, they've changed up their roster completely. They made it to Worlds, finished 2nd place. And so a big improvement for Samsung, going from elimination in the round of 12 in the previous KeSPA Cup all the way to Worlds, maybe saying, hey, well, you know, Rising Stars Gaming might be kind of the next Samsung, even as they are hoping to be the next ESC ever, the team to upset Giants in this KeSPA Cup tournament.
Yeah. And right now, I mean, the lane already in top lane, I think, is actually pretty ugly. And we have Bong actually coming over, and he might look for a blue buff steal, because they know, or they can assume with a high probability that blue is still up, and it looks like that actually will be the case. So this will definitely aid them, unless Ambition reads this properly and makes his way over to the blue buff to try to hand that one over to Crown.
Interesting to see. Okay, Ambition's coming up here. I actually thought Zillia was going to go for maybe more of an earlier roam after shoving Orianna into the turret. Instead, we're going to get a chance to see Bong. Uh-oh, not going to find a Gromp there.
Yep, and I'm not really quite sure exactly what he's doing. He might try to set up a gank here, but I can't see this working, because any sort of a parallel convergent start, I think, gives away the fact that Bong is here.
All right, well, here comes Ayuni really forcing this issue. Tunnel under the wall. There's the Praise Seeker, the flash, the knockup, but the damage just isn't there. The red buff isn't going to tick for the kill. It's first blood given to Echo, but might be a turnaround here as Crown teleports up to the top lane, gets one bomb to land, and here's Ambition. Bong, you're not going to last much longer. Oh, there's the slowest death you've ever seen. Auto attacks from Crown to find the 2nd kill of the game for Samsung.
Yep. And so, I mean, there was there's no greater timing miscommunication than what we just saw happen up there in top lane. And already the game, again, is off to a pretty ridiculous start. And so you can see, Huni goes in way too early. Bong comes over, but at that point, it's already too late. And honestly, I feel like it's too late no matter what, because they're always going to be trading 1-for-1 here. And when Crown has teleport on that Zilean, it's probably going to always just turn out bad and potentially even result in Crown getting the double buffs.
Oh, Wraith actually does survive getting through the turret to the other side, but I will not let him get out of there unscathed, and we'll take him down. The successful gank to tie the score up at 2-2.
Crown now in the mid lane with those double buffs, level 5, Ambition also level 5. And there is... Okay, well, that's a lot of damage, actually.
Yeah, he's going to get at least 3 bombs up. He's got red buffs, so he's going to get the kill.
Oh, no. Oh, my.
And the flash used there to no avail. Pro getting dominated there by his brother with the extra letter. Hayuni underneath the turret. Ambition just busts him as Samsung starting to get off to that same dominant start they did in game 1.
Yeah, and the thing for me is these type of kills, it doesn't even look like a competitive kill. It looks like a solo queued kill with how they're functioning. What is Bong doing right here?
He's actually going to die here. Crown's going to maybe... Okay. I thought he was going to flash for another bomb auto attack with the red buff to get the kill. That would have been a little bit... would have been doing the utmost. Either way, we're going to get another replay on this gank to the top lane.
Yeah, and so... Huni trying to chase Cuvée there, and it doesn't really make much sense because even an extended trade at that point is still going to be unfavorable. So it really begs the question of what is he doing at that point? And already 6 minutes, 1,000 gold lead for Samsung Galaxy. But not just that, you look at the level lead across most of the lanes, and that's where a lot of the big problems come.
Well, for the time being, there are quite a few problems. 4-2 doesn't really tell the entire story of this game. Normally at this point in the game, were this a regular LCK season, we'd be talking about things like macro rotation, taking down turrets, really which team wants to shove or has that advantage. What is there really to talk about at this point other than RSG desperately trying to stabilize?
I mean, RSG, Bong is basically, his jungle routes have been very peculiar and very gamble-esque. So, I mean, he's continuing to do that as well. I feel like there's no incentive to really be on the left-hand side of the map right now because there's no way to coordinate any sort of a gank in bottom lane, and now he might actually just lose his red buff over to his opponent. So, very bizarre jungle routes coming out from him.
Well, he does get blue buff over Crow, so the extra mana and AP there on the Orianna should allow them to stay in lane for a while. And Ambition on top of the red buff. And like you said, Bong might actually just lose this. He's on the other side of the map right now. No one really willing to go up against Ambition at this point. He's got that call field completed and more damage than he really knows what to do with at this point. Coming over to steal yet more of Bong's jungle. And the struggles increase. Bong now trying to go for the counter steal with a red buff take away from Samsung, but like you said, he's just losing his entire jungle here, and there's nothing that Huni can do for it.
Yep, he will pick up the red buff of Ambition, but Huni actually just being shoved off the lane, and he's gonna take a big chunk right here. And these are the type of solo queue-esque things that are just really bizarre to watch because in no world is this really okay. Because now, how does Huni actually return to the lane without severely going under a lot of threat? Crown also about to have teleport back up on that Zilean. I don't know what Bong even wants to make happen here.
He's going to try to go for another crazy dive here underneath the turret. He's actually just going to run all the way through the turret. The stun there does land. Grabs him underneath the turret. That's a lot of damage. The Ignite's going down, and that's going to be Hayden with the first kill. Bong does fall off to the side there. Hayuni trying to make this kill happen, and in the end, it's a little bit successful. A 1-for-2 exchange. Hayden does just barely survive on the other side. However, Samsung still pushing up the top lane. Look to take a second tier in retaliation.
Yep, they find a 2-for-1 that was almost a 2-for-2. They're looking to pick up the bottom lane turret, but at what cost? You lost First Blood Tower Gold up there in top lane to Cuvée and Ambition. Ambition has a 2-level advantage over your jungler, and Cuvée looking to almost get to a 2-level advantage over the opposing top laner. So, not a very good call, and even though they found some gold for their team, it doesn't really matter in the end, as Samsung Galaxy gets a huge advantage from it.
certainly will. Even though the big numbers up there on your screen might tell a different tale, at this point, things starting to get away from Rising Star Gaming. It's good to see them at least being proactive with this gank, like you're going to get a replay.
Yeah,
here.
so Hayden getting the tether onto Stitch right there, but the problem was that Bong just got completely locked up inside of that turret aggro, and then Puny ulties away and restores some of his HP, and they pick up a tower, but the real story was up there in top lane, and wow, Crown's going to give an entire level over to Wraith.
Interesting to see that choice being made, but always nice to see Zilean's passive have a little bit more of an active component after what was one of the strongest passives in the game on Zilean. Only 90s kids will get this reference, but if you remember Zilean's old passive where it used to give just more experience globally to everyone on your team, it actually just changed the game because your mid laner would hit that level 2 more quickly, your dual lane would hit the level 2 more quickly, and it just like made it so crazy. So nice to see the Zilean passive being used since it has been changed.
Yeah, and I'm actually a little interested why Ambition hasn't just gone and soloed the dragon yet, or even just two-manned it with Wraith, given that it is a mountain dragon, and they're already looking to
Oh, man, here we go. Missed there on the Stranglethorn, but oh, man, Ambition going deep for it. He won't actually finish the combo onto Crow, and now he's got to get out of dodge, but there's O2K. Can they finish the kill? They will. All right, well, no, Ambition just barely alive. He's going to come back up alive, and at least Ben's getting in there for some kills. Going to find one. Crown almost going down. They're still chasing it. It's Hayone actually able to take him out. This fight is actually going really well. It's a 3-for-0 so far, and Rising Star finding the fight that they finally need to really get themselves back in this game. I think he's really just going the distance on this Stitch. Not long for this world. He's going to get knocked up and taken down. That's a 4-for-0 overall.
Yeah, I mean, that was really catastrophic for Samsung Galaxy and a huge pickup for RSG, and they're also going to be rewarded probably with mid lane turret and this Mountain Drake, which that was okay, never mind. That turret has basically full HP, but nonetheless, that was a huge victory for them, and that definitely just kept their hopes alive in this game. And
going for the dive there. Oh my god, Hayone ran out of mana. Otherwise, he actually might have been able to kill Ambition underneath their outer turret.
Yep. And that was just basically Samsung Galaxy overextending and trying to make plays happen that they didn't really need to force. So we see this, and it was just a complete mess of skills being used, and Ambition couldn't actually find the kill onto Crow. Crown turned around to get the ultimate off onto Ambition just in time, and then you can see KeSPA also was not able to execute Crow right there at the end, and Puny able to pick up Crown right there on the left side river. So I mean, all in all, it was a really well-fought turnaround by RSG, and it was just Samsung being a little overeager with their advantage.
All right, we're going to head back to live here. Bong getting caught out in his jungle. So much damage. They're coming in for the plants. A huge arrow landed at long range for Stitch, and Wraith gets a very well-deserved kill.
And that's going to be a red buff going over to Ambition. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if we see a Herald timing. Because Herald is generally an opportunistic buff. You can only really take it when your team is under almost no pressure and there's not really too much to do.
Kind of like a win more idea. If you would manage to take that one out. Siege up in the mid lane won't last for long, thanks to Crow's Orianna clear. And really, what was the most devastating consequence of that lost team fight? Well, Puny's going to get devastated there. He's going to be nothing but a consequence at this point. But what happened that what went most well for Rising Stars Gaming?
I mean, just a few minutes ago, taking that team fight was really good, but then they just start getting picked off like flies, and their vision control, while it is very defensive, it's not as optimal as it could be. And they had some pretty poor lane management. As you saw, there was a gigantic...
Ambition's still going to go for it. I think that was a little bit optimistic. He won't actually get the smite steal in the end. There's a Zilean ult. Will be killed. But here comes the rest of Rising Stars. A big ult from KeSPA trying to get the damage he needs for the stun. A Ice Bomb will give Crown yet another, as KeSPA is the one to be chased away. Slow will land there from the Time Winder. O2K actually able to take him out. Now Ambition, the one on the run, trying to make it out alive. Crown going for the teleport. The shockwave to take him down. And even Hayone actually going to go deep underneath the turret to try to find this kill onto Ambition. Won't be able to clear it out in the end. The Rising Star is still on top of it, a 1-for-3 team fight.
Yeah, they keep turning around these team fights, and it's honestly a little bit impressive. And Kennen, as you can see, he sort of has a little bit of everything. He just got his proto belt. And at the very start of this right here, Ambition trying to get that blue buff away, and a little bit of miscommunication. But fortunately for him, Rising Star actually does kill him, enabling the Resurrect from the Zillion ultimate. They pick up a kill right there onto Bong, and then Ambition trying to save QV almost costs him his life, but it does actually end up costing Crown his life, as Crown was not able to get to safety in time.
Turns out Teleport now has an incredibly long channel time, so I don't think it's really the escape spell it used to be by any means. Either way, that does cost Samsung a lot in terms of fights, but Hayden getting kicked around everywhere. He's going to stay alive. I'm never really sure what to make of these engages. It certainly seems like Ambition is maybe on he's reading ahead of the rest of his team on a slightly different page.
And right now, mid lane turret tier 1 gonna fall for RSG Bravo. Oh no, they do manage to hold it on for just a little bit longer.
Wow, Stitch maybe could have stayed there and gotten the last couple of autos, but probably would have gone down for it. So nice to see him being careful, backing off. It's not like Samsung won't have another opportunity to take that. But okay, here's Ambition once again going in. Ambition's looking for a few style points.
Might have a team fight brewing.
Well, Hong's going to get locked up, knocked up, and taken down. He's a huge engage by QV. He will be ulted maybe a little bit more prematurely, taking that turret, but he's actually going to go down. At this point, QV falling in the back line might be an acceptable casualty. It's a 3-for-3 trade so far. These team fights are actually going pretty evenly. Hayune running for the hills. He's going to run for his life and stay alive for now, but that fight was actually remarkably even.
Yep. And one of the costs, though, will be the mid lane tier 1 turret. And actually, Crown might kill Hayden. He does not have enough mana for the shield.
Oh, he's going to bring the bomb to him! The second one detonates. It's a remote control bomb delivery service. As Crown does it the hard way, but gets those style points on Hayden for the kill.
That's when a guy has to do it himself. So we see this team fight, and Bong just couldn't do anything. He absorbed basically every single skill at the start of the fight. QV getting in there with a very nice ultimate, but they did find a kill. And then Huni dealing a lot of damage, able to get that ultimate off and then try to escape away. You can see Crown was trying to chase him down, but in the end also Hayden managed to go down to the Amazon delivery from Crown.
That's the future. Well, either way, Crow actually had a super sick shockwave in that last fight to really turn it back in Rising Star Gaming's favor. They're up in kills. Now, they're not up in gold or objectives, but it's nice to see at least something going in their favor. These crazy, chaotic team fights, you know, it's like bouncing for Tigers. Maybe this is what Rising Star Gaming do best.
And Uni up there in top lane just trying to get a little bit of CS right now. Everyone on RSG is actually behind in CS, so would be good if he can actually begin to catch up.
Okay, hey, he's down like 2 CS. Here's the arrow, long range from downtown onto Crown, and that's going to be more bombs he knows what to deal with. The last one delivering his kill over to Crown for his 6th of the game. Ambition once again kind of on his own, looking for some craziness to have happen. Not going to find really anything as Samsung group up around this mid lane, looking to find something to happen. Now, there's Bong waiting off to the side. Parallel convergence thrown in. Ione trying to get in on to Stitch. He does stay safe for now. Safe also is the 2nd tier mid lane turret as RSG hang on for the time being.
And, well, now they're going to look to rotate down to the bottom, pick up the bottom tier 2 outer turret. And this is how all the fights for Samsung and RSG tend to break out. Is when Samsung stays a little bit too long and ends up rotating for objectives unnecessarily.
Ambition, he's got that Lee syndrome this time around. There's no situation where he doesn't go in, and has contributed to his 0-1 and 8 score, because while he may be going down, he's at least helping the rest of his team to get these kills.
And right now, another rotation now to the mid lane. And it looks like they just want to keep these pushes going, and it's honestly a little bit impressive. They don't even have a Mountain Drake. We're only 19 minutes into the game. And looks like now they... Well, no, they keep going in mid lane. I'm just watching the mini-map. Rip Harold has died.
Ripped Harold, yep, he's out of there. Lots of wave clear from Crowns and Zillion, able to keep the pressure on, but here's a decent flank ward opportunity. Hyuna coming in. The bomb's going to stun him as soon as he arrives. Bog there in the back line. Dropping down very, very low. He will get a shield that will save his life for a moment. A huge shockwave from Crow, literally turning the fight around. And now Rising Star trying to get in onto Crown to take him down. He's going to zone off with the bombs. Altuke actually trying to take Ambition down. He once again is also too slippery. Juve trying to get his big ultimate on. It's going to be enough to find one kill there. Bong out of there. Altuke actually dead as well. The bombs on the back door coming in from Crown. Hyuna will be able to run away with her Z-Drive resistance. He turns it back around, popping that chrono break, but will he break anything other than his team's own hopes? Looking for it. Looks like he will get back out, get back in, get back out again, and now trying to turn it back around. He's going to go in onto Ambition. He finds one. The stun lands on a Cube. The bomb delivers system once again. Tries to go down. Will he turn it back around? Does get the Z-Drive off once again. And he's going on to Cube. There's actually the Praise Seeker bomb coming in again. Speed up on a very fast cannon. Will run his way away from now. This is the fight that never ends, and Bong's not going to let it end yet. Right? Oh, not in time for the steal. No, or the kill, rather. Bong now, he's the one tasked with escaping. He will do so successfully, but these fights, like Jar Jar Binks might say, are crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, these fights, this is what I'm talking about, where you see Samsung go from mid to bottom to mid to staying in mid. Just look at this team fight again. It is a complete mess in terms of where everyone's positioned at the very start. And a beautiful ult from Crow completely changed how this fight could have gone. Crown doing his best, and then he goes out and back to the team fight. And Hyuni with a really nice performance, actually, on Echo inside of this team fight, managing to do a lot of damage. And I actually thought he was going to find all 3 kills here. But then he backed off a little bit, all 3 members not respecting the ultimate right there. As he goes over the wall, he still has vision of Samsung Galaxy, and he knows that he can come back in because Crown had moved away.
Taking us back to live. Haven't missed anything just yet, but now that Samsung are around this Baron, this is where things get a little bit scary. Certainly wouldn't like to see them give away a Baron through things like a steal, so maybe better safe than sorry. At this point, certainly the scariest point in either of these games for Samsung, as they find themselves going up into fights that are actually a lot more even than I would have necessarily expected. Now, gold lead, item lead, objectively, it's all still in their favor, but see how much else it takes. Parallel convergence zones Cuvée off up to the top side of Baron. I'm trying to get in there for at least some vision, and Stitch, he's the one that's forced to disengage safely.
And going to be a little bit of downtime, although Ambition looking to maybe make something happen here onto Crow or Hyden. It's not going to be the case. Red buff coming up soon for RSG.
Well, Doogie actually deciding to do the Doogie up in the top lane instead of going immediately for that red buff. He's probably going to come back down and try to take it, but Ambition right on time in the area. They make the steal happen. Could be there as well. Of course, could just off the pressure in the mid lane. They're forcing a flash out of Stitch. He's actually going to ult backwards, forcing out those double summoner spells as well as the heal from Stitch, who is a little scared there. Definitely does afraid of some things, and very wise. Be careful. This fight steal's good for Ambition as he steals that Raptor camp away. No Baron, no red buff steal, and no mid-tier true turret for Samsung, who find themselves kind of stymied at a lot of different avenues.
Yeah, but one of the problems for RSG is that eventually their champions begin to get a little bit weaker in terms of scaling, where the Zillion just keeps getting stronger, and due to their itemization right now, the Cannon is just going to be an absolute juggernaut, when this game does approach the 30-35 minute mark, and that's when stuff starts to get really, really good for Samsung Galaxy for their team composition, and that's when stuff gets bad for RSG.
Well, things have actually been going remarkably well, at least in the early game, but as the game goes on, that's when, like you said, things start to get a lot better. For Samsung, they do know how to work together as a team, even though they do have some new members that didn't play at Worlds. They still look pretty well coordinated. Hyuna actually going to teleport in. There's a shockwave that drags him back, though. Ambition might be in a little bit of a rough spot. He's pretty low now. Crown does still have his ultimate, but look at that Stranglethorns with the disengage. Stops Ayuni and Bang in their track. There's the damage coming out from Stitch, just desperately trying to keep himself alive for the last little moment. He will stay alive for as long as possible, but winds up going down in the end. It's a double for Crow, who keeps turning these fights around. For Rising Stars, they come out with a 1-for-2 exchange.
Yeah, a 1-for-2 is going to be a pretty big win for them. Cuvée not able to really do too much or aid his team that much in that fight. And I feel like Ambition going back into the fight was a little bit suicidal. I don't think there was really much of a reason for that, but our RSG managing to hang on, at least for a little while longer. However, a Mountain Dragon is awake, so you can probably expect Samsung Galaxy looking to eye that up.
Now, at this point, we're actually starting to see some pretty acceptable items completed for Rising Stars. What do you think about specifically that Trinity Force Ezreal build? I know that's always an item that used to be so popular, but has kind of fallen out of favor for the Iceborne.
The Trinity Force build is pretty interesting because we saw it return at Worlds, but hold that thought for a second as we can see this fight unfold. And Wraith had actually a pretty fantastic ultimate, but the problem here is that Stitch does not have any summoner spells, and so it was really easy for RSG to lock him up and just delete him. Ambition goes in here, the intent was good, but didn't really matter because Crown, there was no way for him to get into a position to follow up on that Lee Sin kick. So not much happened. But back to the Trinity Force Ezreal. It's a build that returned at Worlds. I think that Bang was actually the first one to bring it back. But normally, Trinity Force is an item that you use when you're already accelerating on Ezreal to sort of suffocate or not enable any sort of a comeback chance, where the Iceborne Gauntlet is generally more favorable and offers a lot more control.
Definitely looking to get in there and get the damage done that he needs, and he has been successful in doing so. So far, he's staying on par with Stitch, at least as far as CS is concerned, and has a much better score. Stitch's positioning this fight has actually been, or this game has really been punished to 6 deaths on the carry. Not where you want to see those. Crow as well, also got to give a big shout out for those ultimates that continue to turn these fights literally around. His shockwaves really kind of punishing what seems to be kind of chaotic positioning from Samsung.
Yep. Oh, and what?
That's I don't know. Somewhere that's the Godby arrow. It'll show up in somebody else's game eventually. There's a true shot that actually does catch Crown a little bit. And Rising Stars positioning. Look for and engage. Okay,
I can't get over the ultimate from Stitch because I don't know what he was aiming at.
This is like Pong. It's just going to come around the other side eventually. It's all planned. At least maybe eventually it will be. Sieging now the mid lane turret. This is Rising Stars about to take their second turret of the game if they can. Run out of minions, but the siege continues.
Yeah, and this game is actually a little too close for comfort for Samsung Galaxy right now. They still do have a few minutes until they start getting those items that enable their scaling to really just peak and outshine RSG. But RSG not doing so bad of a job at the skirmishing and the fights. And it doesn't look like Samsung Galaxy can really make much happen right now.
Okay, well, this is a place that I did not necessarily expect to be, but always with the KeSPA Cup, it's an interesting time for all the teams because we've seen crazy upsets, we've seen teams that no one expected to make it very far dominate. Think back to, I think, Ever is the poster child, and really what Rising Stars was referencing in their pregame interview where they said, well, we realize that we're underdogs, that Samsung is that we expect Samsung to be able to do very well against us, but we want to be the second ever because when it comes to KeSPA Cups, anything can happen. And for Rising Stars, that's happening right now.
Yep. Crown moving up to top lane to get some farm, and there is definitely a little bit of downtime. It looks like Samsung Galaxy actually just wants to sit back for a little bit and continue to scale up. And again, one of the things that we haven't really talked about is that Samsung Galaxy is actually most comfortable in the late game. And we have not yet actually reached that stage. So there is still stuff to look forward to in this game. But we're going to have to see how Rising Star Gaming can actually contend with the late game of Samsung Galaxy. Because it's probably a stage of the game that they actually don't get to practice that often down in the Challenger Series.
Certainly not. And even still, a late game in Challenger Series, if you guys got a chance to watch this season, you know it's pretty different than a late game at some of the tippity top level of competitions like at Worlds. It's very, very chaotic. Lots of crazy picks, and sometimes the game just ends when someone gets caught out. I say that because Baron's being started, so this is another way that things could definitely get turned around. Baron dropping down too quickly to stop, and RSG lose their first big purple ward of the game. Flash out for Bong, gonna try to make his way away. Tunneling back up, maybe able to catch out Wraith. There's the Stranglethorns, we'll be able to knock him up, but he's actually pretty tanky. Continuing to zone here. Now, parallel conversion stuns out, Cube. It's actually Otoki who's gonna take the first kill of this fight onto Ambition. One kill found and more left to follow as Hyone actually just gonna get right on top of Stitch now. There's the saving ult, and now here comes Cube rampaging in, but Otoki has too much damage. The stun, the turnaround here, and this is RSG's fight. They find 1, 2, 3 falling, and this Ezreal's looking for more. He actually will get a lot more healing coming out, just barely missing the Q. On Crown, he will survive. Return back to base, but Hyone's got blood in his eyes. He's gonna see it. He gets the flash for the double kill on Crown.
I really don't know what to say at this point. And I mean, RSG is going to be rewarded with 2 turrets as they look to close the gold lead. They might actually even push for more. I think they're going to. Crown down for 40 seconds. Stitch and Wraith nowhere to be seen right now, and it's only Ambition actually to defend the base. And I think that you could have had Hyone recall and then teleport in to make sure that you get that inhibitor. So I think a little bit of a missed opportunity right now by RSG, but credit to them again for turning the team fight. And the problem here was that Ambition did absolutely nothing. This was almost a straight-on 5 versus 4. You also saw Stitch, with a little bit of kiting errors in this fight here, and Crown basically had no mana at all. Cuvée went in really deep, but he wasn't able to really do too much before just getting deleted from the fight. And then Crown trying his best to live. Otogi not able to really find the final blow on him, but that was okay because Hyone was able to pick it up in the end.
Hyone's been going so deep, so hard all series long. Game 1, it just really didn't work out, but this is what happened when that snowball starts to roll. He's going back in again, looking for a catch. Once again, this is on to Ambition. Wraith will have a nice Stranglethorns, and this time Stitch's position is actually a little bit better. Hyone does get in there for the kill, the assassination onto Wraith. He's going to be able to chrono break back. He does still have that Guardian Angel available. Shockwave will pull QB back away. He's going to be revived there by that ult coming in from Crown. Staying back to back with Stitch. The double bombs coming forward. Hyone actually is pretty tanky. He's going to go right back in, and there's another big turnaround. Hyone goes down, but it's so much power on the backline. Bong doesn't even die from the bombs. And Crown and Ambition, the only 2 survivors of what was a clean fight from Rising Stars.
Yeah, and they're going to get an Inferno Drake, which is a pretty good pickup at this stage of the game right now. And probably just going to back up and look to recall after they push in this bottom lane. And again, credit to RSG for winning that team fight. It came at the expense of Hyone's Guardian Angel. He won't have that for the next fight, but we can see it again. Bong really just catching Wraith and Ambition out of position. Hyone able to get his ultimate off right at the last second there. Ambition followed through with it. But this was mostly just Stitch botching his ultimate again. Keeps missing it, and he keeps using it at improper timings. And right here, his only job was actually to kill Hyone before that stun would release so that he was able to get into the parallel conversion. So a lot of problems actually in Samsung's team fighting is originating from Stitch.
Yeah, Stitch's positioning, his ultimates looking a little bit shaky, and this is where you start to figure out, the level of depth in what these players are prepared for. Anybody who's ahead can, go on to win, and everybody's like, okay, well, you guys just, crushed the game like in game number 1. But now it's in these difficult moments where you find out exactly what your players are made of. Stitch starting to kind of crack under the pressure, and Ambition's also a little bit strange this game. He's 0-4 after having been the second best jungler at Worlds if you just go purely based on standings. And it boggles the mind to see some of the decisions that he's made. I actually expected him to go in there and try to contest the Gromp, even though it's such an insignificant objective.
Yeah, and he will have Guardian Angel soon. Hold on.
This is the deepest flank ward I have ever seen, and probably won't be something that Samsung really noticed. Here comes Huni over behind the side. It's not going to be noticed until it might be too late here. Samsung Stitch there on the side. Does get his arrow immediately. QSS, he's going to go down and before this fight even really starts. It's the 80 carry for Samsung dead, and Rising Stars Gaming might even be looking for more. There's a parallel convergence, but Huni gets stunned right before he can get to it. Finally will reach it to shield off the damage from Crown's bombs, but Siege in the mid lane here for Rising Stars looking to crack that inhibitor.
Yeah, and you had to pay attention to QV. He was in the back right there. They do have Crown's bombs,
but big AoE shields like that coming out from Hayden really avoid most of that damage. Now the Siege getting in there. Huni, a perfect parallel convergence. Will get a stun. Oh, there's the revive there, but a huge stun coming right back in. It stuns on both sides. That one was Crown's. Ambition now going in a little bit too deep for it to disengage there. Huni going deep for it. Chrono breaking back out safe and sound, but the inhibitor's down. That's what really matters.
Yeah, and Stitch going to be up in about 3 seconds, and he really needs to do something. I just want to point out, this guy has been zillion ulted a few times this game, and he still has found ways to die 9 times.
Deepest flank of the life from Huni.
Yeah,
he comes in with a massive, massive turnaround.
You can tell that they weren't expecting this at all. Ambition really actually saving this by knocking Huni away from getting that parallel convergence off onto he and Crown. But Stitch going down at the very beginning of the team fight, and this has been the story almost all game long. Samsung Galaxy's 80 carry is basically preventing them from being able to win team fights.
And this is actually such a contrast from watching Ruler, a guy that came in as a guy named Bung to this team at the beginning of the season and just showed up in such impressive ways. Stitch is kind of, the substitute behind him. Really needs to kind of live up to that standard, and at least this game a little bit questionable. Now, something that we should mention after all of this, after Rising Stars crushing that inhibitor, taking all these objectives, they're still down in gold. So it's not over just yet. And while Rising Stars are continuing to win these fights, Samsung are still alive for the time being. And this is a world's class team. So at some point, when all 5 members start playing like that, that's when things might continue to be scary for Rising Stars.
Yep. And you can tell that QV is actually pooling a lot of gold right now. He's had that immensely large rod for a few minutes now, and it hasn't transformed into anything. And it's just going to be interesting to see what RSG does when Samsung Galaxy is actually at all 6 items, which we are approaching that point soon. And even look at the items on Wraith. He's almost a third or a fourth mage on the map right now. And definitely the Leandri's Torment are going to do a lot of damage to Huni and Bong.
Keeping an eye on the pushing. Here comes Bong. There's a big knockup. He's right in the middle of the entire enemy team, but there's QV massacring the backline. He, in turn, will take the damage right back, but Azaniel's keeping him alive for a little bit. Shockwave only hits Ambition, but there's Huni in the back line. Will get knocked up there, but the Guardian Angel keeps him alive for at least a little bit longer. Ambition very low, but does have a GA of his own. Bombs continuing to be thrown there by Crown, and Bong is the only casualty. That fight, a 1-0 in Samsung's favor.
1-0 indeed, and they got the Guardian Angel again, so pretty big victory for them right there. And also, if you look at the summoner spells that were used on Rising Star Gaming, one of their main initiators is now lacking in his flash, and that's a little bit dangerous against a Lee Sin and a Kennen, even though both Ambition and QV did lose their flashes, so a little bit of engagement tools definitely taken away. But Samsung Galaxy looking to get this Baron, and I don't see a contestant possible.
Hero mode, it's time. He's not going to grab the steal. That would be the ultimate nail in the coffin. At that point, you GG go next, because you've given up a lot of different opportunities. Now, finally, Samsung have a big opportunity of their own to really start to hammer this advantage home.
Yeah, and one of the things here, there is an Elder Dragon. QV does have teleport up, so it's not the end of the world, and expect big things out of QV and Crown's recalls, because they've both been holding that needlessly large for a very long time. So also Hex Drinker now completed on Stitch. I don't like it actually as much as a Scimitar, primarily because there should almost be no reason to die unless he would get locked up. But a Maw is a pretty okay item choice to go into.
pretty okay. If I was an item choice, I'd want to be a little bit more than pretty okay. But now we get a chance to see what Samsung can do as they push into this Rising Stars base. They'll crack it open on the upper side. And the Stars turn this back around. Huge damage onto KeSPA, who takes 80% of his health and is forced to disengage. And now Stars alleviate their pressure, keep their inhibitors alive, and there's still one down in the mid lane for Samsung.
Right now they are just backing off. They did open up a window in which they could win from in the top lane.
Oh, Ambition forced to use that kick to disengage. Rising Stars on the chase, and they do have Hyuni with a teleport. Now, there are not a whole lot of great opportunities for wards for him to teleport onto. You can always just go there into the middle. There are some around by the Elder Dragon if he wants to use that, and now Samsung are actually just walking forward and setting up for what could be another great flank from Hyuni.
Yep. And they are pushing now.
There we go. He's actually teleporting onto a ward that's right next to a Samsung ward, so they will see this coming. There's a Stranglethorn. It's only really going to hit Crow in the backline. Ambition goes in to try to get the one shot, but he's actually not going to find it. KeSPA in the backline dealing a ton of damage, and there's Stitch finally going off. It's the Samsung AD carry we've been waiting for this entire game. It might just be the... okay, there's the arrow. Gonna give the triple there to KeSPA, who definitely deserves it. Only a Doogie up alive, and he is gonna maybe not even stay there. A plant popping that mob passive as he gets back to his fountain. But finally, the fight with Samsung. We're looking a parting shot from Doogie, who will take one more kill with him to the grave. And game two. Nice arcane shift there. Yeah. Game two will go to Samsung in the end. After 41 minutes, they do prevail. After a very shaky performance, it's a 2-0 victory for Samsung Galaxy over Rising Stars Gaming.
Yeah, and right in that final team fight, Stitch finally was able to do what they needed him to do all game long, and he was just dealing absolutely enormous damage. I was actually a little bit afraid when Ambition took the target in on Crow. He almost managed to get actually locked up, but in the end he didn't. So Samsung Galaxy able to pull out the 2-0. Not a team comp I wanted to see out of them, and honestly they looked really shaky at some points, but a lot of that was primarily due to their new AD carry.
And for Rising Stars Gaming, they might have lost 0-2. For them, their tournament road is over, but they have a game that at least they can be proud of. Going toe-to-toe with Samsung is something almost no team at Worlds could really do, and while yes, this is a very different Samsung with a very different playstyle to be sure, it's still a performance that they'll be able to take the experience from, grow from it, learn from it, and maybe put it to use in next season of Challengers to get to LCK themselves.
Yep. And RSG going to be able to take this, regroup, probably watch the VODs and learn a lot from it. But, I mean, honestly, Crow with a much better performance this game compared to his game one.
Definitely true.
Odugi, not so bad on that Ezreal either.
No, he had the most damage in the game, about 10k up. We're going to take a break before we come back. Our series, number 2. We'll start immediately following this interview. This will be the group stage drawing.